Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Supps. Before I get into the good and bad news that needs to be discussed after the Raiders' 15-9 loss to the Atlanta Falcons, I want to tell you this. If you're trying to get into better shape, if you need some awesome stocking stuffers, go to pandasupps.com. Use code TANK for 20% off. Personally, I love the protein. I love the BCAAs. I love a lot of the products that they got. That link's available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. So the first thing is this. Good news, the tank is still alive. If you look at Tankathon, the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick. If you look at NFL.com, the Silver and Black have the number 2 pick. And I'll kind of describe why, if you're a Raiders fan, you should look at Tankathon, because if the Raiders lose their next 3 games, you're going to have that opportunity to have that number 1 overall pick. We'll kind of talk about the NFL draft here in just a moment, because I got to talk about this guy, Maxx Crosby. He's going to have surgery today, and I want to make sure that I do get the surgery name correct, because it's kind of a wild one. It's known as tightrope surgery. So I messaged my buddy, and I said, what news do you have for me on tightrope surgery? He told me that it's actually a easy surgery to recover from, and that it's also a minor surgery to end up doing. So tightrope surgery, if it rings a bell for you, is the same exact surgery that Brock Bowers had this past offseason. The fact that Crosby is getting it now, he's going to be good to go for the Raiders' regular season in 2025, which is the best news that I can possibly give you at all today. One of my friends who is a doctor told me, why are you asking me about this? And he flat out said, if you are somebody that's going to tackle your rehab, and if you're somebody that is going to do everything possible to make sure that the injury is going to be healed, then you're going to be good. Here's one thing I know about Max. He has never half-assed anything. He's always given 110%, and I know that there were some people that are worried about Crosby's ankle. I'm worried about Crosby's ankle, no doubt about it. But when you hear that it's going to be this surgery, it looks like it's going to be an easy one. And then on top of the fact, if you're somebody who's going to get in there, tackle rehab, do all the things that you need to do, there's no reason why Max should have any complications. So the best news I can give you, Crosby's going to have surgery. It's an easy surgery to do. If you've got a good doctor, I would imagine the Raiders got Maxx Crosby a good doctor. So everyone take a breath. Crosby's going to be good for 2025. So let's go back here and talk about the 2025 NFL Draft. Obviously, with the Raiders' 10th straight loss, sounds crazy to say out loud, but a lot of people are maybe a little bit curious of, Mitch, why does NFL.com have the Raiders at 2? Tankathon has it at 1. If you don't know, I've kind of explained this before. Tankathon looks at the projected strength of schedule for the remainder of the season. NFL.com looks at strength of schedule based on games that have been played already. The reason why I am happy this morning, and reason why I didn't do an overreaction video, is because there's no overreaction to be made. Yes, the Raiders almost won, and Desmond Ridder gave me a heart attack. If you're not part of Team Tank, you're probably not going to like a lot of the videos that I make throughout this week, just simply because I want the Raiders to find a franchise quarterback. When you think about the amount of QBs that this team has had since Derek Carr, I almost want to make a video on it. I mean, we're talking about guys from Jarrett Stidham, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder. Am I forgetting a name in there? I might be. Bottom line is, we need a quarterback, and the best way that you can get your team going in the right direction is to be able to find a franchise quarterback. So you know what, though? When you look at the next 3 games here for the Silver and Black, you got the Jags, you got the Saints, and you got the Chargers. If the Raiders lose all 3 of these games, they have the number 1 overall pick based on strength of schedule. Even if the Giants lose their next 3, the Raiders can have the number 1 overall pick. So if you want to draft a QB, you can do it. Or, I don't think it's going to happen, but if the Raiders wanted to trade out of that number 1, guess what you could also do? Get a lot of draft picks to be able to recoup and build this thing the right way through the draft. But, let's be honest here. Out of these games, which one scares you the most? The Jags, 3-11. Saints, 5-9. Chargers, 8-6. Which game scares you the most in terms of they could lose the tank if they win one of these games? My answer coming up after this YouTube ad break. The game that scares me the most is the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is simply that. You got Mac Jones, and I'll admit, Mac Jones and Jags, I thought, played a pretty solid game up against the New York Jets, but that's one of those games where if the Raiders win and the Jags lose, then both of those teams are sitting there at 3 wins, and that bumps the Raiders down just a little bit more. If the Raiders lose that game, I'm going to take a little bit of a sigh of relief, but then you got Week 17. Yes, it's a road game. I don't think Derek Carr's playing in that football game, so that tells me you're either getting Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener. Both of those guys are garbage. And then you got the Chargers. I know that there's going to be people that want the Raiders to win, and maybe there's a situation where the Raiders can knock the Chargers out of the playoffs and still have a top 2 pick. I don't think that that's going to be in the realm of possibilities. But, like, if the Chargers are playing for something, and by all accounts, they're going to be playing for something in Week 18, I would imagine that that's going to be a game that they're going to win. And then, you know what? Yeah, it sucks losing to your division rival, but a number 1 pick is pretty good. You know why? Because I don't want to have to keep watching Desmond Ridder start next year. But keep starting Desmond Ridder this season, because if you start Ridder, and shit, even if you want to start Carter Bradley, I don't care. If you go out there and you put out Ridder, if you go out there and you put out Carter Bradley, the Raiders will not win another game for the rest of the year. You know what will make me nervous, though? If you decide to go with Aiden O'Connell. I know Aiden tried to test it out before Monday Night Football yesterday. He tested it out. He wanted to see how the knee felt. But let's get one thing straight here. Aiden O'Connell beats the Atlanta Falcons. If AOC is healthy and he's the quarterback in that Monday Night Football game, today's show is totally different. Today's feeling is totally different, because Aiden would have taken down Kirk Cousins. Hell, you can make an argument that AOC might be better than Kirk Cousins right now. Cousins in his last 5 games, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. It's been a lot of bad. The good news is, though, today, December 17th, the Raiders have a chance to have the number 1 overall pick, and Maxx Crosby is going to have a surgery that seems like it's going to be easy to be able to do, and if he tackles his rehab well, he's going to be ready for next season. That's the good news here this morning. I'll get into the bad news here in just a moment, but you know what's also good news? I got a deal available for you. If you use code TANK, you're going to be able to get your hands on Panda Supps protein products, and if you need a brand new protein, I'm telling you right now, it's the best protein on the market. If you got a sweet tooth, I really recommend the mint chocolate chip, maybe some cookies and cream, the fruity cereal. If you're somebody who's like, you know what, I don't have an overly sweet tooth, kind of like my fiance Alex, I would look at one maybe like a pineapple whip, a vanilla ice cream, strawberries and cream. But if you want to blow your mind, you got to try their brand new blueberry muffin protein. I'm not kidding you. This might be one of my new favorites. You get this. It's got 30 grams of protein, 4 grams of net carb. I'm telling you, it's going to change your game. Like, for me, when I wake up in the morning, I love a good cup of coffee. And don't get me wrong, I love sweets. You make a little bit of this, put that in a protein shaker, and it kills my sweet craving right away, which is not an easy thing to be able to do. So if you're trying to get into better shape, new year, new me, it's crazy to think that 2025 is 2 weeks away. Get some protein. You might as well get taking advantage of that workout that you're putting in. And if you need a meal replacement, you can use Panda Supps to do that. I do it all the time. If I'm going to drink and do all the crazy shenanigans that I do on a weekly basis here, I got to learn how to take care of myself, and I trust Panda Supps. So code TANK, 20% off at pandasupps.com. Let's now get into some of the bad news here. Sincere McCormick left yesterday's game with an ankle injury, and it's sad because it didn't look like a good injury, and anytime you see a guy limping off the field, never good. What's bad also is I got a text this morning that says that Sincere's probably done for the remainder of the season. They only have 3 games left. He's a SFA, which is known as a street free agent. A dude's making $288,000 in the NFL. I mean, that's unheard of, $288K in the NFL. I would love for McCormick to be able to come back for this team, and I was hoping that he was going to be able to finish out the season because even like Antonio Pierce said, McCormick earned the right to be the starter over Alexander Madison. Madison put the ball on the ground early in yesterday's game, and I think when you look at the confidence level, the Raiders want to run with physicality behind JPJ, and McCormick was kind of giving them that. Yeah, he struggled a little bit yesterday, 7 carries, 8 yards. Atlanta did a good job trying to control him, but I think I don't want to speak for all Raider fans here because I was told that not every Raiders fan's Team Tank, and believe me, I get that, but I do believe this. Every Raiders fan out there was rooting for Sincere McCormick, and this, I'm sorry, is bad news because I wanted to see 28 go out there. So if 28 is done for the remainder of the year, should the Raiders try to bring him back? Give me a yes, give me a no. You are about to get hit with another YouTube ad break while that ad is playing. Give me a yes, give me a no. I'm going to give you my answer here in a moment. This is an easy yes for me. Alexander Mattison is a free agent. Amir Abdullah is a free agent. Both of those backs in a full season, I might trust more than Sincere McCormick. However, though, I could probably bring back McCormick on a minimum deal. 1 year, $1.2 million. You might not even have to give him that much. Quite frankly, you could probably give him something in the $965K range, and he's going to love that deal. If you try to bring back Mattison and Amir Abdullah, I'm going to imagine it's going to cost double. Is it a lot of money? No, but in a year where we need to be able to get this thing on the right track, yes, we have a lot of salary cap space, but wouldn't you want a thumper of a running back who could potentially be your RB3 as a backup, somebody that's showing you some life? Because I think I trust Sincere McCormick more than I trust Zamir White right now. So if you're going to potentially move on from Zamir White, if you're going to move on from Amir Abdullah or not bring back Abdullah and Alexander Mattison, I don't think you can trust Dylan Laube at this moment. Call me crazy. I would love to bring back Sincere McCormick, man. If you want more videos around the silver and black, make sure you click that subscribe button. We're going to be pumping out a lot of content, and Chugs and I are getting ready to go live 4 p.m. Eastern time today here on the Raiders Report, so I don't want you to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're making a lot of content. We're going to be talking about Antonio Pierce. We're going to be talking about the quarterbacks, and I'm going to tell you another quarterback not named Shedeur Sanders that's on the Raiders' radar.